How to make your computing experience a little bit more easy. Part two, still focusing on hard drives, mostly backups. So, backups is something that everybody knows about. That's the one thing most people do know about computers. You should back stuff up. Most people don't or don't do it properly. And some generally don't also know how to do proper backups. So, in my opinion, in the years now I've been doing this, things like system restore and stuff like that you get on Windows are good for small problems, normally user error. If you've messed something up yourself, they're very good for reversing back certain things that you can do. But what they also can do is they can hold a virus within them and then keep redistributing it to your computer every time you try and save it. They have their own problems. It pays just to put your hand in your pocket sometimes and not find a cheaper route out and have the hard drive space to just think about it like this. Anything that you are not prepared to lose, then have the hard drive space for. So for most people, that's actually not a lot of hard drive space. I lost all my files from 2001 to 2015, and that was 120 gigabytes of space. It's not a lot. It's bigger now. But I lost that because I didn't observe a rule. The rule is the rule of three. You use three backup sources for your backup. If you do two, then you leave it to chance in case two of them go wrong on the same day, as unlikely as it is. That can happen. So you have this rule of three. So the third one's almost an extra, but it's not, because in practice it's actually ended up this way. That's what happened to me. I had three backups and I deleted one of them because I was desperately in need of a hard drive, and then it occurred to me afterwards, probably I should check the other two. Both of the other two drives did not work. And that brings me to the next thing. So why didn't they work? Because I see, I learned by experience, because they were kept together. So if you've got a cloud backup, which I wouldn't always recommend because of internet connection and it's not necessarily private, but it, some people, that's where they're pushing us. If you've got a cloud backup, that can help this particular problem. Or if there's someone or somewhere you trust, or at least minimum to have it in a different room, then if you've got at least one backup in a different room from you, then or in a different house than you, even better, then, or on a cloud, you know that even if your house burns down, you've still got a backup of that machine. Um, and to do all this, you only need to get one of these things, which is, I don't know if you can see that or not, which is just a little hard drive caddy. And you put hard drives in there, you copy files to them, take them out, put them somewhere safe, and it's done. I mean, they're only about 20 quid. So I'm not talking about mega money. The hard drive is a bit more expensive, and like I say, you need to choose one equal to I would say equal to the size of your machine, and that would make it a simple way of putting it. Um, and always leave yourself room for growth. But the main thing is do to update your backups whenever you feel there's been a significant change, one that you wouldn't want to lose. And then when you do if you have these three backups, make sure you back them all up, or update that backup at the same time. And at the same time, check, once you've done the first one, check it. Make sure it's got all the files there that it should have. Make sure everything is where you expect it to be. Because often people will do things on faith, and then they'll go to the next one, not having checked the last one to make sure it's done what it said that it's done. Don't trust the little screen that comes up on a computer and tells you something is necessarily correct. They make mistakes. So you have to check things manually. It's the safest way of doing anything is check it manually. So you've got your three backups. We've talked about defragging in the last part. So backing up your machine appropriately means that in the future, if you've got any problems, and your computer goes down, a main hard drive goes down, something like that, the one with Windows on, you get your new hard drive, you replace it, and then you just install a nice new fresh copy of Windows, and you can put on whatever files, programs, whatever else you want from your backup. So maybe you've got a library, like I've got, like a library of programs that have to go back on. So obviously you don't want them taken from your machine. You want them in their original state, whether it be on disk or a little file or whatever else. But they all go in one place for me. So when I put a machine, if something goes wrong with the machine, I have to fix it. Everything's in one place just to get it back online in as quick a time as possible. So it's actually more complicated to explain than it is to show and do. So perhaps I should show you at some point, because it's really not that difficult. Imagine just doing a backup with OneDrive. So you have OneDrive, and then or one computer. Let's just make it even more simple. One computer, and you have this little hard drive that fits in that external thing I just showed you, and you just take everything you care about and you plop it on this drive, and then you take this drive away and put it away. Do that times 3, and you've kind of basically got where I'm going with this. That's for the real layman, so you understand that it's actually quite an easy way of doing it. No, it doesn't put you a backed up copy of Windows back, but they tend to be crap anyway. And while this may be a little bit more complicated, having to reinstall Windows for those who don't know how to do it, it's very, very easy. One of the easiest things you could probably do. And what you'll get in return for that effort is a machine that won't pee you off half as much. And so the storage, just the last thing as well. So what made these drives go wrong is the storage as well. Make sure it's not stored near magnetism or electricity, even that in just a cable going by, because these discs inside them, the ones with moving parts that we talked about, they've got ferrous oxide on them, they've got metal. They are affected by all that kind of stuff. So I would say abandon. Not necessarily abandon your Windows backup if it's worked for you in the past, but I would say don't use it to rely on backing up your most treasured files. That you need to think about doing for yourself. And just as an extra side thing for anybody that's interested, I have my main backups, but I also have a separate little thing I call red files. These red files don't contain any large files like films or videos or games or anything like that. They contain just one set of things, and that is documentations. All of it is either receipts, passwords, whatever else, all held in a very small encrypted file. And that I copy into various places of secrecy. So it's always available to me anywhere, but at the same time, it's always discreetly kept out of the way. It's been very, very handy. And the backup itself, the size is, oh God, it's less than a CD. It's tiny. So yeah, so it's just another way as well of having your most valuable information to hand, because that's what it's really about. And the rest of it just sort of stored away like a library. So yeah, hopefully we'll move off hard disk, but so much of it actually having a good experience involves having a hard disk. And I'll just give you one example before I go. The other thing is, if you let a hard disk have less than 15% left on it, backing it up, defragging it, any of those tasks becomes virtually impossible, because the machine cannot function properly. It needs at least 15% of its hard drive space free to function properly. For reasons we'll go into at a more intermediate time. But yeah, these are all things you need to think about. So, but for the people, if I know there'll be people that just really don't understand this stuff and think, oh, this is too complicated. You just need a hard drive caddy, get someone to help you buy a hard drive, and you literally can drag and drop files that you care about onto a hard drive. And you can always put them back onto another machine another date. There's ways of backing up your browser and all that other kind of stuff, but I'm really talking about those important files that you just don't want to lose, those important pictures or whatever. And that's that. So I'll catch you for part 3.